All right, today we are diving deep into one of your body's most amazing and honestly underappreciated systems, the urinary system. And I'm telling you, it's so much more than just plumbing. It is a master regulator, working 24/7 to keep your entire body in perfect, delicate balance.
So let's just start with a number that'll blow your mind. 180 liters. That's how much water your kidneys filter out of your blood every single day. To put that in perspective, that's like 90 of those big 2-liter soda bottles. It's an absolutely incredible amount of work, and it's the starting point for everything this system does. So here's our game plan. We'll start big picture, with the kidney's role as that master regulator. Then we're going to zoom way in to its microscopic engine, a little thing called the nephron. We'll break down the 3 key steps of how urine is actually made, check out the hormones pulling all the strings, and then we'll look at the body's delicate fluid balance, and finally, what happens when that balance gets thrown off.
Okay, let's jump into our first section, the body's master regulator. Because really, if you just think of your kidneys as simple filters, you're missing a huge part of the story. They are true masters of homeostasis, of keeping everything inside you stable. I mean, just look at this list, it's wild. Yeah, of course, they get rid of toxins and waste, we all know that. But they're also constantly adjusting the chemical levels in your blood, making sure you have just the right amount of everything. They manage your body's water balance. They even help control your blood pressure by releasing a hormone called renin. And get this, they release another hormone, EPO, that tells your bone marrow to make more red blood cells. It's an astonishingly versatile organ.
So, how in the world does one organ do all of that? Well, to see how it happens, we need to zoom in. We're going from the organ you can hold in your hand down to the microscopic powerhouse where the real work gets done, the nephron. So the nephron, this is the tiny funnel-shaped workhorse of the kidney. And you don't just have a few, you have millions of them in each kidney. Every single one is its own little urine-producing factory. This is where the real magic happens. And every one of those little factories starts right here, at the renal corpuscle. You can think of it like a high-pressure filtration station. You've got the glomerulus, which is this tangled-up ball of tiny blood vessels, and blood pressure literally forces water and all the small stuff out of the blood and into the Bowman's capsule, which is perfectly shaped to catch it all, kind of like a catcher's mitt. Okay, so after that initial filtering, the fluid, we call it filtrate now, it enters the renal tubule. This long, winding set of tubes is the processing plant. This is where your body gets really smart and meticulously sorts through everything it just filtered, deciding what to keep and what's got to go.
So how does this processing plant actually work? Well, this brings us to the absolute core of what the urinary system does. We're talking about the 3 essential steps of making urine.
Now, before I just lay it out for you, just take a second to think about it. If you had to design a system to clean your blood and get rid of waste, what would the logical steps be? It's really all about sorting the good stuff from the bad. And here they are. Step 1 is filtration, which we've seen, where all the small stuff gets pushed out of the blood. Then comes step 2, reabsorption, and this part is so important. Your body reclaims almost all of that 180 liters of water, plus all the good stuff like nutrients and ions, and pulls it back into the blood. It's literally like digging through the trash to rescue all the valuable things you accidentally threw out. And finally, step 3 is secretion. This is like a last chance cleanup, where your body actively pumps any leftover waste products, like certain drugs or extra ions, directly from the blood into the urine.
Now, this whole process of reabsorbing and secreting, it isn't just running on autopilot. Oh no. It is being precisely managed by a whole team of chemical messengers. Let's talk about the hormone control system. So these 3 hormones are basically the main dials your body uses to fine-tune your water balance. You've got ADH, which tells the kidneys, hey, hold on to more water, which makes your urine more concentrated. Then there's aldosterone, which says, save sodium, and since water always follows salt, you end up holding on to more water too. And then there's ANH, which comes from your heart, and it does the exact opposite. It tells your kidneys, get rid of sodium, and as a result, you lose more water.
So all this hard work by the kidneys and these hormones, it's all for one big reason: to maintain your body's incredibly delicate balance of fluids and electrolytes. So let's zoom back out and see what that really means for your whole body.
This chart does a great job of showing where all the water in your body actually is. And you might be surprised. The vast majority of it isn't in your blood. It's actually inside your trillions of cells. That's the intracellular fluid, or ICF. The rest of it, the extracellular fluid, is the stuff surrounding your cells, which includes the plasma in your blood. And the kidneys have to keep both of these compartments perfectly balanced.
And here's the key thing. It's not just about the water. It's about what's dissolved in the water. You've got electrolytes, which are basically salts that break up into charged particles called ions, like sodium and potassium. These are absolutely critical for your nerves to fire and your muscles to contract. Then you have non-electrolytes, like glucose, which don't break apart. And the kidneys have to manage the concentration of both perfectly.
Which, of course, brings up a really important question. What happens when that delicate balance is lost, when the system gets disrupted? This is when we start to see some common and sometimes serious fluid and electrolyte imbalances.
So on the fluid side of things, you've got two extremes. There's dehydration, which we've probably all felt, where you're losing more fluid than you're taking in. And then there's the opposite, overhydration, which can actually be dangerous because it can put a real strain on your heart.
And on the electrolyte side, things can get pretty serious too. As you can see here, having too much sodium in your blood is called hypernatremia, and too little is hyponatremia. The same idea applies to potassium, with hyperkalemia being too high and hypokalemia being too low. Any of these conditions can really mess with how your nerves and muscles work.
Okay, so after all that filtering, all that reabsorbing and secreting, we finally have urine. The job is done. But how does it get out of the body? Let's quickly trace that final exit route.
The journey out is actually pretty straightforward. The urine collects in an area inside the kidney called the renal pelvis. From there, it drains down these long tubes called the ureters and into the urinary bladder, which is basically a muscular, stretchy storage tank. And then finally, when the time is right, it leaves the body through urethra.
You know, that really brings us full circle. This quote just nails it. The kidney isn't just a simple waste disposal unit. It is the central blood balancing organ of your entire body. It's a true, undisputed master of homeostasis, of keeping you healthy and stable. So I want to leave you with this final thought. Now that you know that your kidneys regulate everything from your blood pressure to your red blood cell count, what's the single most important thing you can do every day to support these incredible organs? Well, the answer is beautifully simple. Just stay hydrated. Giving your body enough water is the absolute best way you can help this amazing system do its job and maintain that perfect, delicate balance.